Hello everyone out there, I am Winter Gray recording another Minecraft video from my computer. Yes, I am at my desktop. I am at my desktop on my computer, and because I am going to show you about the new data pack function that is going to be released for Minecraft 1.16, where you can add custom dimensions, and that is a very awesome one because I have been playing with it and I have been enjoying it. So how does this work? Well, data packs. I'm assuming you already know about data packs. Data packs are files that you put in your world and they can make cool stuff happen on them. I'm going to show you the one I'm working on at the moment. It's about making dimensions. So this is my main data pack folder here. And the way it works is I have in the on the structure of the files, inside the data, inside the Minecraft folder, we add two folders, two directories, dimension and dimension types. And they contain JSON files that are going to be used for the settings for the dimension. So, for example, if I go to the dimension type folder, I can add my namespace, which is Cyrus, the namespace I'm using for my data pack programming. And inside that, there's I have two files because I had two types defined for this data pack. We're going to be checking the governs type I have been working on. So this JSON files contains the settings for the dimension, and I'm going to try to explain each one of the values you can modify for the dimensions and play with it. We're going to jump first into the dimension I have created with this data pack so we can take a look at it. So let's launch the game. So once we enter into the game, it's going to ask us for confirmation because these settings are experimental. They are launching this as an experiment, and since we can edit all the settings of the dimensions, we can cause some crashes. So I'm just going to select I know what I am doing because of course I know what I am doing. And now the world is loading and we see we are in a mushroom island and there's some jungle here. And at first it looks like a super flat world, but this isn't a super flat world. This is a custom world. It's going to be all the time. It's going to be nighttime. So we have a lot of biomes that I have included here. We see there's this is the end biome. This is the end Barrowlands, I guess. Biome. And barrens, yes. And this is a savanna. There's a bamboo jungle here and a jungle here. There's currently a bug on the snapshots where passive mobs are not spawning in the custom dimensions. I'm really hoping that is fixed for the release because I really want to have passive mobs here. And there's a mushroom biome here that has no hostile mobs spawning, but looks like this awesome generation is happening down here. Oh, bees do generate. That is weird. And also mushrooms. And take a look at this. Look at all of this awesome stuff that is being generated underneath. And there's actually a whole different world underground. There's nether-like generation for all the caves. It's a nice cave world to explore. I am going now to go to another location that I really liked for this terrain generation here. I'm going to go up here, and I actually used a lodestone to mark that place. So I guess it is on this. Let's follow the compass, and let's get to that place. And here we are. You know what? the lodestone, it's another amazing feature implemented on this version. I'm going to love using that, but check out this. Check out this terrain generation on this dimension here. I placed a lodestone inside here of this little mushroom island that spawned. There we go. It is right there. The compass just brings me here, even if I go exploring far. And wow, this is just amazing. I love how the terrain generates in Minecraft. One of the things I have been enjoying a lot when I was working on the mods I was making is playing around with dimensions, and now this gives me the opportunity to do that again. But check this out. So let's go and see the settings for the dimension on how this is working. I'm going to pause the game and let's go to here. And let's see the settings. I don't know if this is visible. I'm really hoping it's very visible on YouTube because I have my font size like a standard. But I'm going to read that to you, and I'm going to leave a link to the wiki page where most of these settings are described. So for the dimension types, ultra warm, I have it set to false. If ultra warm is set to true, the dimension is going to behave like in the nether, where the water evaporates. Infinity burn, it's a block tag that lets you indicate which blocks will burn infinitely in the dimension. For example, in the nether is netherrack, and also in the overworld. But this seems to be like something you can use to specify which blocks are infinitely burnable. I guess that is the term. For example, if you remove this, you could burn netherrack and it's going to just disappear, I guess. The logical hate, this one I don't think it is implemented, but I think this one is to fix the issue where structures are only generating at the top and not at the bottom of the world I have been creating. So logical hate will be like the hate the world has to generate features like trees and villages and etc. And has raids, it is set to true. That means we can have pillager raids on the dimension. Respawn anchor works, it is set to true. That means we can use a respawn anchor. Let's see, respawn anchor and a glowstone. So let's place this. Let's place this in the wall, and let's add some. Oh, there's some cows here. Oh, passive mobs are spawning. That's interesting. Okay. That means, oh, quite 9 lives. I'm going to kill my character in a moment to see if this works and if I can respawn here. It'll be very interesting. Also, there's a setting for the bed. Bed works is set to true. That means the bed works on the dimension, even though it is permanently night. I set it to true just for fun and testing, but it doesn't make sense. The bed works if it is always nighttime. Okay, piglin safe, true. That means piglins can live on the dimension without converting to zombified piglins. If you set this to false, it'll be like the overworld. Natural, false. That means this dimension is not natural, and the clock is going to be spinning because there's no time. The dimension is not natural. If you set it to be natural, there's going to be time and the clock will spin normally. Shrunk, true. Shrunk, it means like the dimension is like the nether, where in 8 blocks in the dimension, it's 1 block. No, it is the contrary. 8 blocks in the overworld is 1 block on this dimension. Ambient light is 0.1. You can set an ambient light to 1 to have a totally bright place. And 0 means that the place is dark. I have set it to 0.1. This means the dimension is mostly dark. That is why hostile mobs are spawning on the dimensions. Has a skylight, true. That means the dimensions has a skylight. If not, it is like the nether where there's no skylight, or the end. Has ceiling, true. I'm not going to edit this. Has ceiling, true. That means that this dimension has a ceiling. That is why we have the cave world we are seeing here, because there's a ceiling for the dimension and there's also a floor for it. fixed time 15,000. That means it is like permanently nighttime. You can see the position of the moon there. And the biome zoomer, I set it like the nether, which is a fuzzy offset biome zoomer. I don't remember where I got this setting. It was on the wiki page before, but they seem to have removed it. Maybe they dropped support for this. So I'm going to just ignore this last setting here. So these are the settings for the dimension type. Now let's check the settings for the dimension. And we'll be checking why it looks like this. So we have established that the dimensions has a ceiling, and it has a top height of let's see, 200. I am standing on the block 200 now. So the type of the dimension is Cyrus Caverns, which is the type we just looked at here on the folder. This is the file Caverns, and it's on the dimension types. If we go to the dimensions folder, we have the domain Cyrus, and inside of it, it's Cave World and Mining World. We're going to focus on Cave World for this one. So this is the Cave World file. Oh, this always happens here. So the type is Cyrus Caverns, which is this type here. And the generator has these settings. I have specified a seed here. This is the seed. For some reason, if I remove this parameter, if I like to have like a random seed, it doesn't work. So I have to leave it here. I have to specify a seed, which we can see it here. The biome source has these settings. The type is multi-noise. This means this is going to be a multiple biome dimension. And large biomes is set to true. This means the world is a large biomes types. And then there's a list of biomes I have included here. I have to specify a list of biomes. So I have specified some like badlands, jungle, taiga, basalt deltas, beach, and so on. And each biome has these parameters: altitude, weirdness, offset, temperature, humidity. Altitude, it means it's like on the height is going to generate. I set it to 0 for all because since this is a cave world, this doesn't mean much. Weirdness means how weird is the biome. If you specify higher values, the biome is going to be weirder. So to have all the biomes spawning equally, I set them all to 0. Offset, I set them all to 0, and that is the offset which will be considered for the biome generation. I am not totally sure how it works, but it has some effects on how the biome will be distributed. Temperature, it's a setting that indicates how cold or hot is the biome in order to spawn them one next to another. So we can see there's a mushroom biome here next to the cold taiga, because the temperatures of the cold taiga and the biome on the mushroom biomes are kind of similar as I set them here. And the humidity has a similar effect on the biome distribution on which biome can be next to another. But I guess that requires more testing. So I have a list of biomes here that I included with different temperature and humidity settings. And this is the end of the biome list. So now for the dimension settings, the bedrock roof position is minus 1. This is from the dimension height on. If you set the bedrock roof position to a negative value, this will not have a bedrock roof. So this dimension has no bedrock at the top because I set to -1. So on the top of the dimension we get like some style of a super flat world here. And the bedrock floor position is set to 0, which is the first block of the world. I could put this like in a negative value also, and there won't be any bedrock at the bottom, but I didn't want to do that. The sea level is 63. You can alter the level of the sea. You can put it lower or higher. Disable mod generation is set to false. Setting it to true is not going to generate mobs. And then there's a list of structures that can spawn in the world with some settings For example, the jungle pyramids, the end cities, the villages, the ruin portals, the igloos, strongholds, etc. Each one of these has different settings, like spacing, which is the spacing between them, separation, which is like in chunks, I guess. The value for separation, which is the in chunks. The separation, actually, the spacing and the separation values are in chunks. I don't exactly know how this works, but they both are used to see how close or how apart the structures will be. And there's a salt value that is used with the seed to make like the randomness for the structures to be formed. So there's a bunch of settings here for the structures, and I'm going to leave. By the way, I'm going to leave a link to download the dimension configuration I have done for this world. And now we have a noise configuration. What is the noise? The noise, this dimension has a type noise. The configuration for the noise is some settings you can alter to have a different way of all of this stuff you see here, all of the terrain to be generated, like all of these hills from the roof, all of these hills from the top, all that looks like this. So for the noise, I have these settings. The island noise override, if you set this to true, it'll generate like islands like in the end. I think I want to make some changes for this to see how it alters the world. But let's see, let's finish first on this and later we'll test how this changes. Density factor 1. If you lower this value, the world will be less dense. That means less materials, less stone, less grass, and everything will be like more broken. The density offset kind of alters the height where this start generating. Right now, the standard height for this dimension here in the caves is like a 70 to 80. If I lower the offset, it's going to be like 64, like in the normal overworld dimension. Simplex surface noise is set to false. Changing it to true, it changes the algorithm for the terrain generation. I have to play with that a little bit more to see the difference. Amplified is set to true. So I set amplified to true. That means this generates like the amplified terrain. I don't know if you have played with that in the new world generation. You can generate an amplified terrain. So this is why it looks like these crazy generations with floating parts and all of these curves here, because this is an amplified terrain. And now we can play with the top slide and the bottom slide settings. The top slide settings change how the top of the dimension is generated, and the bottom slide changes how the bottom part of the dimension is generated. So they have a target, size, and offset. So these are the values I use for this dimension. In the top slide, there's a target of 50 and a size of 18. I always get confused with this. There we go. A size of 18. That means there's like an 18 blocks to play with, and a target of 50 from the top to the middle. I don't know if I can clearly explain what this is, but you can make this to come lower or go higher. I have set it to 13 and 2, and there's like almost nothing generated up there. I think the best way to do this is to play with the values and see what they do. But the same goes for the bottom slide. There's a target of 3 and a size of 1. But since I have the density offset to -3, it's creating this level of generation to level 80, I guess. So this looks a little bit cool. I guess the best way to understand this is to play with the values. Now the size horizontal and the size vertical, I have it to 1 by 1. You can change this and have a size horizontal to 2 and the world will be more extended, like if you extended the world. And if you play with the size vertical, everything looks more columny, with columns. It's a way to explain it. And now the sampling has some values to play with the scale of the world generation. It has an XZ scale, which is the horizontal scale for the terrain, and an XZ factor that you can play with to make the world more flattened or mountainy. I have it to 160, and I have a Y factor of 200. That means the world it's a little bit extended and a little bit vertically to have some crazy mountains. I guess if you go crazy on the Y factor, it has a lot of mountains. And now the default block for the dimension is a stone. You can set it to whatever default block you want, but I set it to stone in order to have ores. If you set it to something different than stone, you won't have any ores, but you could set it to diamond ore if you want. And the default fluid is water. It could be lava, but I chose to add water. If we had another fluid, it could be that, for example, mud. I am waiting to have mud. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Mud? Yes, it'll be really cool to have a dimension where all the fluids is mud. Let's see. And the properties, level 0, that means it's still water. If I don't include this, it crashes, so I have to include it. Now the type of the dimension is noise, which is all of these we have seen here. Now let's explore the dimension and make some changes. So what is going to happen here, I'm going to take a quick look at some of the terrain that is being generated on the area. For example, we see there's a lot of end biomes, and I kind of don't like that. All right, so yeah, there's an end biome there. There's a huge end biomes everywhere. I don't know why it takes so much precedence. And there's a lot of crazy waterfalls and cool stuff here. Whoa, look at that. That's a river. That's a river biome, and it makes this crazy generation here. Okay, so we're going to do the following. Let's get a little bit away from here. And we're going to log out of the world. Let's going to log out of it. I'm not going to close the game. I'm just going to go to the title screen. And then I'm going to do the following. I'm going to go to my saves directory. I'm going to go to the world save. I'm going to enter the dimensions folder. I'm going to enter the Xyrus domain, and I'm going to delete the cave dimension. But before deleting it, I'm just going to back it up. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to move it to another place. Let's say here. I'm going to move it here because I want to come back to this. There we go. Then we're going to go to the world data packs, and we're going to remove the data pack. Then we're going to make some changes. I'm going to change the island override to true. And also I'm going to change the bedrock floor position. Bedrock floor position, I'm going to set it to -1, which is going to disable the bedrock floor. And I'm going to set the default fluid to air, which means I have to delete the properties. There we go. Then we're going to put all the files in a zip. And we're going to update the data pack on the world save. There we go, the data pack has been updated. So I'm going to reload the world with these new settings. But while reloading the world, I'm going to pay attention to the logs. Okay, no errors here. That means we're doing fine. So let's click I know what I'm doing. And we're going to see the changes we made. Okay, I think the bedrock is not removed. I have to set it to a different value. But look at this. Look at this. Look at the crazy columns that generate just with that change. All right, let's make a little adjustment to this. I want to remove the end the end biome because it's so common. Okay, I'm going to log out again, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make another change. I am going to remove the end biomes. End barrens, I'm going to remove them. And the end highlands, I'm going to remove them. And the end midlands, I'm going to remove. There we go. And also the bedrock floor position, I'm going to set it to -1000. I think that disables the bedrock floor. I'm going to replace the data pack, delete this one, and I'm going to create a new one with the changes we made. Paste it here and delete the dimension, the cave world. Delete. And let's load the world again. Let's see if there's any errors. Oh, there's an error outside of range. Let's cancel this. Let's change the value to 1000 positive. There we go. We have no errors this time. Let's see if it works. Whoa. Oh no, I guess I got out of oh, this works. There's no okay, there's no respawn anchor because I removed it from the world. Okay, so I am in the overworld. Let's go back to the dimension, but first I'm going to make some changes. All right, we're going back into the world. Okay, so we are here in the overworld, and now let's teleport to our dimension again. And the way we do that is this. We type in a command, execute in Zyrus Cave World, run, teleport Wintergrave to 210 at the same coordinates we are right now. And we are back on the area. This looks so white. I'm on a snowy biome here. Okay, there are some mobs spawning. The terrain is generating. The moon is where it has... Oh, it's weird that the moon changes faces. I guess it takes the face that it has in the overworld. I haven't noted that. And we are here again. Now let's check what is going on down below. Oh, all right, so I can confirm now that passive mobs are indeed spawning. We see some pigs here. We saw some cows earlier. So passive mobs are spawning. I guess that bug was fixed. They still don't spawn under down under, but that is another thing. So we may encounter a village here right now. This is a plains biome. There we go. There's a village, and it's going to be attacked by zombies because it is nighttime and there's darkness everywhere. So there they go. Let's go down and see what is going on in the caverns of this dimension. Ooh. I always love entering this place. Look at this. All right, so there's one last bug. I don't know if it's a bug or it's a change in the features that I really wish this to be attended by the time of the release. You can see right now all the biome features like trees, villages, foliage, and all of that is generated only at the top of the dimension. That is because the game checks for a surface from 255 down, change for a surface to place stuff. And since it finds the roof, it places all the things there. I wish they give me a value like the logical height we saw earlier for me to say from where to start looking, because I would really like to have all of the villages, trees, and stuff down here on this area. And there's a bug report on the bug tracker already about that. I'm going to leave a link for that down in the video. If you have an account in the Minecraft bug tracker, it would be really cool if you could go there and vote for that bug to be fixed, because it is a really important one. So we can have really crazy custom dimensions like this. Look at this lake. This is actually a river, but it renders as a lake on this biome configuration we have right now. And also, if you play on a dimension like this, you can make some crazy builds and that. Let's make one more change just to end the video. Let's give some light to the place so we see this better. I'm going to log off. We're going to edit the this file, the dimension type Cyrus Caverns. We're going to edit the dimension types, and on the ambient light I'm going to set it to 1. We add the data pack to the zip and we replace the previous one with this. This should regenerate the dimension as we log into the world. No errors. And now we are at night, but you can see the sun down there, the moon up there, and this place is totally lit. There's no mobs, and everything is lit up, even underground. There we go, everything is generated, and now we go to spectator mode, and we can go down here and see that all of the caves and the mine shafts and everything is totally lit up. So there's no more spawning anywhere. You can't also make any dark room because everything is going to be enlightened, and we can clearly see what is going on here. Oh, there's some fire. That reminds me, I have fire tick on, and there's also mob spawners, but these are not going to work because you can't make dark places. Interesting. This is this is an interesting feature to consider if you set the light level to 1. But this will be like a cool exploring and mining dimension. Alright, so I'm going to make a lot of more things with this feature. Even if there's no features down here, I'm going to write my own generation code with data packs to make things to appear. Wow, that's a weird lava column there. And have fun with this because I have been just playing with it so much, making changes and seeing how it works and all this. It's really amazing. So thank you thank you Mojang for releasing a feature like this, and thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope to see you on the next one. Goodbye, and may you all be well.